Ladies and gentlemen, we have an explosive and breaking update. Information that may expose one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. Joe Biden was using his brother and his son as intermediaries to make money off of his influence, apparently signing off on these deals his son was working, according to a business partner included in the emails that have thus far been released, confirming their authenticity. This man, Tony Bobulinski, has issued a public statement saying it is true, calling out the Bidens. This is corroborating evidence from a fact witness involved in the dealings. Joe Biden peddling his influence using his brother and his son, not just his son, his brother as well. We have a statement, and I'm going to read it for you. The New York Post writes, Hunter business partner confirms email details Joe Biden push to make millions from China. Before I read through this opinion piece from the New York Post breaking down their assessment, I want to show you the actual statement from Tony Bobulinski. Tony is the man who is actually on the email chain. And let me show you perhaps one of the images that is the most damning we've seen already. Take a look. Here's a segment from one of the emails. At the moment, there's a provisional agreement that the equity will be distributed as follows: 20H, 20RW, 20JG, 20TB, 10 Jim, 10 held by H for the big guy. Curious as to why in the email correspondence between business partners, they used initials instead of the actual names. Perhaps they knew at some point the emails may be scrutinized. Well, now we can see that 24TB was Tony Bobulinski, who has come out and said Jim is Jim Biden and H for the big guy is Hunter holding money for Joe Biden. This is essentially confirmed. There's a lot to break down here. I want to read you this guy's statement. But this flies in the face of what Joe Biden has been saying. Lies. Joe Biden lied to the American people when he said it is a smear. It is not true. My son was not doing this. He is lying. When he said, I've never discussed business deals with my son, Tony Bobulinski, a business partner with Hunter Biden and Joe, said that is a lie. Tonight is the debate. Donald Trump, read this statement for your opening statement. Let me read it for you. Bobulinski's statement in full. My name is Tony Bobulinski. The facts set forth below are true and accurate. They are not any form of domestic or foreign disinformation. Any suggestion to the contrary is false and offensive. I am the recipient of the email published 7 days ago by the New York Post, which showed a copy to Hunter Biden and Rob Walker. That email is genuine. This afternoon, I received a request from the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Government Affairs and the Senate Committee on Finance requesting all documents relating to my business affairs with the Biden family, as well as various foreign entities and individuals. I have extensive relevant records and communications, and I intend to produce those items to both committees in the immediate future. I am the grandson of a 37-year Army intelligence officer, the son of a 20-plus-year career naval officer, and the brother of a 28-year career naval flight officer. I myself served our country for 4 years and left the Navy as Lieutenant Bobulinski. I held a high-level security clearance and was an instructor and then CTO for Naval Nuclear Power Training Command. I take great pride in the time my family and I served this country. I am also not a political person. What few campaign contributions I have made in my life were to Democrats. If the media and big tech companies had done their jobs over the past several weeks, I would be irrelevant in this story. Given my long-standing service and devotion to this great country, I could no longer allow my family's name to be associated or tied to Russian disinformation or implied lies and false narratives dominating the media right now. After leaving the military, I became an institutional investor, investing extensively around the world and on every continent. I have traveled to over 50 countries. I believe hands down we live in the greatest country in the world. What I am outlining is fact. I know it is fact because I lived it. I am the CEO of Sinahawk Holdings, which was a partnership between the Chinese operating through CEFC, Chairman Yi, and the Biden family. I was brought into the company to be the CEO by James Gillier and Hunter Biden. The reference to the big guy in the much publicized May 13th, 2017 email is in fact a reference to Joe Biden. The other JB referenced in that email is Jim Biden, Joe's brother. Hunter Biden called his dad the big guy or my chairman and frequently referenced asking him for his sign-off or advice on various political deals that we were discussing. I've seen Vice President Biden saying he never talked to Hunter about his business. I've seen firsthand that that's not true because it wasn't just Hunter's business. They said they were putting the Biden family name and its legacy on the line. I realized the Chinese were not really focused on a healthy financial return on investment. They were looking at this as a political or influence investment. Once I realized that Hunter wanted to use the company as his personal piggy bank by just taking money out of it as soon as it came from the Chinese, I took steps to prevent that from happening. The Johnson report connected some dots in a way that shocked me. It made me realize the Bidens had gone behind my back and gotten paid millions of dollars by the Chinese, even though they told me they hadn't and wouldn't do that to their partners. I would ask the Biden family to address the American people and outline the facts so I can go back to being irrelevant. And so I am not put in a position to have to answer those questions for them. I don't have a political axe to grind. I just saw behind the Biden curtain, and I grew concerned with what I saw. The Biden family aggressively leveraged the Biden family name to make millions of dollars from foreign entities, even though some were from communist-controlled China. God bless America. I tell you this, I'm not going to impugn the honor of this man who has come out and issued this bold statement, essentially blowing the whistle on the Biden family peddling influence. But I wonder how much of this is motivated by self-preservation. The dam is breaking. Exposing the Biden family is here. I can already hear the left saying, but what about Trump? But what about Trump? Sure. But what about Joe Biden? You want to call out Trump's business dealings, his family dealings, all of that foreign investment. Oh, yeah, you betcha. And what about the Bidens? I return to you in kind. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I know who I'm going to vote for, and I know why. Joe Biden is a 47-year career politician, working class Joe, who became a millionaire and afterwards lied to you, to me. I didn't talk with my son about this. I wasn't involved in the Burisma deal stuff. I wasn't peddling the Biden family name. And now the dots are being connected. Here's what you need to understand. First, the CEFC deal that we are seeing publicized. It was a much publicized May 13th, 2017 email. Why, that email was after Joe Biden left office. The first consideration is, yes, that's true. Take it to heart. It's important. This was a deal that happened after Joe Biden left. However, this means that the Biden family is in bed with Chinese Communist Party interests. You want to complain about Donald Trump and the Russians? Here we have direct whistleblowing. They are connected to Chinese communist interests. At a time when we are facing potential military conflict and a trade war, one of our fiercest adversaries being the Chinese Communist Party, we need to consider what that means for putting Joe Biden in office. He would compromise the security of this country. Now, they say the same thing about Donald Trump and Russia. That's just not true. I'm sorry. You know why? We've gone through years of Russiagate, okay? It turned out to be bunk, so don't play those games with me. Now, here's the bigger consideration. If what Bobulinski is saying is true, and I have no reason to doubt this naval officer who's coming out and saying they did this, he is telling us right now, this wasn't Hunter Biden's business. Not only was Joe in communication with Hunter on these dealings, but it was the Biden family name. In that reference to Joe Biden not talking to Hunter, they were asking about Burisma. That was when Joe Biden used his power as vice president to dangle $1 billion in front of Ukrainian prime minister president, saying, fire the prosecutor or you're not getting the money. Was that part of the Biden family name business as well? Yes, at least in my opinion. If what Bobulinski is saying is true, Joe Biden's response to the Burisma scandal was, I do not discuss business dealings with my son. Joe Biden was called out by a business partner saying that's not true. So what does that mean? As far as I can then surmise, Joe Biden was discussing Ukrainian energy dealings with his son. And when the Democrats on the left come out and try and defend Joe Biden, they say it is not. Here's what they try and claim. Burisma wasn't under active investigation. Joe Biden was getting the prosecutor fired because he wasn't prosecuting the corrupt individuals like Mykola Zlochevsky, the founder of Burisma, the company that put Hunter Biden on its board of directors, even though he didn't speak the language. Crazy, right? And even though he had no experience in the sector. But they always say that word, active investigation. Why? Well, because it is a fact that Burisma was under an investigation. However, the investigation was inactive. And there's a million and one reasons we can assume as to why it was inactive. But the reality is Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor in Ukraine, was investigating Burisma's founder, Mykola Zlochevsky, who fled the country. Perhaps that's the reason why it was the investigation went inactive. I'm not entirely sure. It is now my personal belief upon seeing Tony Bobulinski that all of this is confirmed. Joe Biden knew what his son was doing. He knew what Rosemont Seneca was doing. He knew that Hunter Biden was his intermediary, was Joe Biden's path towards making money. I'd like to remind you of a story put out by Politico magazine called Biden Inc. Talks about how Jim, his brother, and his son were getting lucrative deals where they seemingly had no business getting lucrative deals. And it would seem they were using the Biden name. Why? Because Joe had power in the U.S. government. And that meant when you did a deal with Hunter and Jim, you were actually doing a deal with Joe. But Joe can't put his name on it. Of course not. Joe could not put his name on it because he was the vice president. And that means all of the dots and the pieces are coming together. Hunter Biden got a job on a Burisma, a corrupt company founded by a corrupt individual who was under an investigation, who had fled the country. Joe Biden intervened after some communications between Blue Star Strategies, a PR firm that was representing Burisma, as far as I understand. Joe Biden goes to Ukraine, fire that prosecutor. He claimed it was because the prosecutor was dirty and wasn't doing his job. And many in the media defended him, saying, oh, but the international community wanted the prosecutor fired. Why is the U.S. sending their vice president to a foreign country to interfere in their affairs? Seems strange to me, but sure, probably you can make up some reasons. But Viktor Shokin signed a sworn affidavit that he was going to be investigating Hunter Biden, Burisma, Joe Biden's son. Joe Biden got a new prosecutor installed who cleared the Burisma founder of all wrongdoing. And that is the most important detail. They are lying in our faces. Joe Biden saw a path to wealth with his office. He's an individual who became a millionaire, became wealthy after becoming a public servant. That makes you wonder about what he's been doing in his long 47-year career. Joe Biden is crooked. Now, Donald Trump may be a crooked businessman. He may be all the things you think he is. And I'll tell you what, fine. But Donald Trump did not enrich himself off of being president. Quite the opposite. Donald Trump's net worth has declined as he has become president. In fact, he's losing money. This is the issue I take with this story. OK, let me tell you. They say Donald Trump is trying to make money off the office or that he's enriching his family. But I see that to be doesn't make sense. Now it's true. Ivanka Trump has gotten patents. I've read those stories. Maybe it's not true. I've read the stories that she's gotten patents in China and that her and Jared Kushner have made a lot of money, perhaps. But Donald Trump was making lots more money with a higher net worth before he went into the White House. They try arguing that Trump was worrying. He was panicking because his businesses were failing. I don't buy it. I don't. Trump says his property is under-leveraged, meaning it's worth way more than he actually owes on the property. Trump could sell, and the New York Times confirmed this. Trump could easily sell any properties and make a massive profit and pay off any of the debts he owes. The money that he owes, that the left tries claiming he owes all this money to Russia or whatever. Trump owes money on mortgages like normal. He has a bunch of buildings that are worth a lot of money, and he owes on them. Here's what makes me laugh. They're complaining that Trump paid very little taxes in 2016 and 17, the year he was running for president and the year he got elected, his first year after being inaugurated. First of all, Donald Trump, according to the New York Times, paid $1 million in 2016 and 4.2 in 2017. He then told the IRS to hold that money for future payments when it turns out he had actually lost money in that year, around $50 million. A total revenue of about $450 million with a net loss of about $50 million, meaning he doesn't owe taxes if you don't make money. Trump said hold this payment for future liabilities. They complain that Donald Trump is enriching himself off of the office when Trump had a net loss of $50 million. Now, perhaps, like I've said, Trump is using Ivanka as an intermediary to make money off of his position in the White House. And Donald Trump has used his properties to allow U.S. Military service personnel and others to stay on his properties for a discounted rate. He says, I take issue with this and I will absolutely and gladly criticize it. Trump wanted to use Trump Doral, his golf resort in Florida, in Miami, in the Miami area. It's Doral, Florida, for, I believe it was the G7. And almost everybody criticized him, including me. And then Trump backed off from doing it. There's another big story where apparently some Air Force service personnel stopped over in Scotland and stayed at a Trump golf resort. Now, Trump says, I'm giving a discount to the government. They're saving money. I'm saving the American people money. I don't care. I understand. And that may be true. And that may be a good thing. Trump should not be using his properties. He should not allow the government to be going to his properties or in any way, because regardless of whether or not he provides a discount, regardless of whether or not he profits, it stabilizes the business and allows them to break even. Now, I'll tell you what, perhaps I'm biased. What I see with Donald Trump is a man who was already extremely wealthy and made a ton of money off The Apprentice. He very well could have just continued his life and done these things. And we had a booming economy under Trump in his first term. I do not believe Trump cares all that much about making lots of money, because I'll tell you what, when you're a billionaire and you can have or buy anything you want, apparently Trump's got a golden toilet. I do not personally believe that Trump was thinking, if in order for me to make more money, I better become president. To me, that just doesn't make sense. His net worth has declined and he actually lost money in 2016 and 17. To me, it sounds like while Trump may have been, using his properties and allowing the U.S. government and trying to do these contracts, that's a conflict of interest. No doubt that should be heavily criticized. I don't see Trump's interest in that as trying to make himself wealthy when he's already a billionaire. I see that as poor judgment, a conflict of interest that must immediately be stopped. And Trump walked back the G7, the Doral thing. When I see Joe Biden, I see working class Scranton Joe, a poor, scrappy young man who found a way to be a millionaire using the family name. That's right. While he was vice president, his son was doing dealings in his name. And according to Tony Bobulinski, Joe was talking to Hunter about this. And that this wasn't Hunter's business. It was the Biden family name. And Joe was signing off on these deals. Incredible. To what extent this goes, I don't know. But that's my view on this, okay? Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe it's wrong of me to say I'm not super concerned about what Trump is doing. Having military service personnel and government individuals stay at his resorts, I'm not entirely sure that's illegal. I think it's a definite conflict of interest. There's arguments that it may violate the emoluments clause. And it's possible, there was one story where apparently the State Department was advertising a Trump resort or something like that. These things are serious problems. But again, Donald Trump didn't need to become president to get rich. But I'll tell you what, I'm not happy about any of it. No way. Very, very critical of Donald Trump at the time it was happening. And even now, because I don't want to play any whataboutism games. You want to come to me and say, but what about Trump? I will call all of it out. There's reporting that Ivanka and Jared are making $100 million plus. And maybe they're using the Trump name while Trump is president for the exact same reasons. Okay, show me that evidence, break that news. I can talk to you all day about Trump's family businesses and the criticisms I have, but break the news that they are doing things illegally. Show me the emails. You talked to me about Russia for 3 years and produced nothing. And the story was bunk. No collusion. I am disinclined to believe you. Now the Hunter and Joe Biden thing. Joe Biden lied to our faces and is a 47-year career politician. I'll tell you what. I'm not happy about what's going on in American politics. And I did not vote for Trump in 2016. And part of me begrudgingly will be voting for Trump in 2016. And part of me will be happily doing it. I'll tell you this. As I mentioned in all my videos, Peace agreements, happily vote for Trump. Withdrawing our troops, happily vote for Trump. Banning critical race theory, very, very happily vote for Trump. Stories about his business dealings, his resorts, impropriety, his attitude, his character, unhappily. So I think Trump is okay. And I'm willing to accept there may be some problems along the way, but if we can get these peace agreements, I just saw someone post a ticket, a direct flight from Bahrain to Tel Aviv, and that warms my heart. I saw Donald Trump cross the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security. That warms my heart. I will take the best I can get in the situation. I am happy with those things. With Joe Biden, I see crony, corrupt, decades-long, generational politics. The Barack Obama administration got us entangled in more military intervention and war, bolstered our presence in the Middle East, and I am very unhappy about it. Oh, I can give him credit. I mean, under Biden and Barack, they got Osama. That's great. It's fantastic. Credit where it's due, for sure. But I'm not interested in that administration anymore. All these problems they blame on Trump that came from Obama and Biden. I'm not interested in this anymore. The Obama administration prosecuting more whistleblowers and leakers than any other administration in history, I believe combined. The extrajudicial assassinations of American citizens, the signing of the indefinite detention provisions in the National Defense Authorization Act, re-upping the authorization for use of military force in the Middle East. Donald Trump is guilty of similar things in many ways, but I will take what I can get from the upstart, the guy upsetting the table, the guy flipping the table. And I tell you this, Donald Trump doesn't need to be president to make money. That's just a fact. His family's been rich. He's a billionaire. If he wanted to give his kids money, he'd just sell one of his, $400 million properties. Check this out. Newsweek. Fox News crews stake out Biden home for second evening in a row. We'll be standing out here all night. Well, I tell you what. Fox News, Just the News, New York Post, Daily Mail, some of the only outlets that are willing to actually report on this. This may be one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. Joe Biden was using his son to run the Biden family business to profit off his name. I'll tell you what, not as successful as the Clintons, mind you, or the Obamas, whatever they were doing. The Clintons, that's creepy stuff. The foundation, I'm talking about the Clinton Foundation and how they were getting lots of donations while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. What Biden was doing seems to be inept relative to the crony stuff we've seen before, but it's being exposed. The fact that we have a former business partner blowing the whistle now on the Biden family, this may be one of the biggest political scandals in U.S. history. I hope Donald Trump, in his opening statement, calls out Tony Bobulinski and says, a former business partner of Joe Biden, Tony Bobulinski, has said Joe Biden lied to the American people. And I will read you an excerpt from his statement. Read him the part where Joe Biden was making money off communist China. Donald Trump doesn't like China. Donald Trump's ragged on China for a decade. So I'll tell you what, after everything I've said about Trump and Biden and my rationale and my reasoning, perhaps I'm biased. Fine. Argue with me. Comment below. Donald Trump is not beholden to China. And they've desperately tried to make that claim a secret. A previously unknown Chinese bank account that was listed in Trump's tax returns. That's not secret at all. Spare me. Joe Biden lied. He's making money. They made millions from the Communist Party. That man, if I had to make a bet, if I had to choose, I'd say Joe Biden's beholden to them. And I don't want him in office. Not right now, especially. I guess we'll see how this plays out tonight at the debate. Thanks for hanging out. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.